Hello, and welcome to Founder in Chief, a Zeus podcast. I'm Paul McGlone, Head of Business Development. Zeus is an independent financial services group working across public and private capital markets in the UK. We work alongside many of the most exciting businesses in the UK, and we are passionate about supporting our clients. This podcast is about the people behind these businesses. In this episode, I'm talking to Manav Thapar, co-founder of LoveRaw. LoveRaw, in my words, is an indulgent plant-based chocolate brand designed as a treat product. They've gone from startup in Altrincham in Manchester to being featured on Dragon's Den, bestseller in healthy food retailers, and now widely available in many food retailers such as Asda, Waitrose and Co-op. In this episode, we will learn what's been behind the success of Manav and his wife and co-founder, Rimi. Manav, welcome to the Zeus Founder-in-Chief podcast. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
We record these podcasts to shine a light on the founders and CEOs of exciting businesses and give them the platform to talk about their businesses, their experiences and their journey to date. You are the co-founder of LoveRaw along with your wife Rimi, a business that I've had the pleasure of knowing for some time now, and even better pleasure of tasting your products, which I will say are excellent. You've had quite a journey so far. You've been on Dragon's Den. You've got your own D2C website and you're sold on the shelves of the likes of Boots, Booths, Whole Foods, Waitrose, Holland and Barrett, among others. For the audience listening today, can you describe where we are, what room we're in?
So we're in the LoveRaw HQ. It's our not new offices, but the team's expanded during COVID, so we've had to get a bigger office space, and we're currently in the meeting room.
Perfect. I gave a description of what LoveRaw do and what they are, but clearly you're going to be better qualified than myself. So give everyone a background in terms of the business and where you came up with the idea.
Okay, so the business, we're a young business, but we started quite a few years ago, and it was started by my wife Rimi. We used to live in Spain at the time, and Rimi and myself started looking into food and where our food comes from, food supply, and just things that were in our foods that we thought, why do they add this in? Why did they add? And that started the journey. And, Rimi was like, I can make the same bars that everybody's making, but better, less ingredients, and still great tasting. And and she started making products in the kitchen. And in Spain, you couldn't start from your own kitchen. In Spain, You have to be in a commercial premises. The UK is a lot more entrepreneurial. So Rimi came back from Spain, came to the UK, set up in family kitchen, and the business just took off from there.
What was in the market then in terms of similar products at the time?
Because I think we've changed as well. We've had to adapt. We made sort of energy bars at that time when we first started. And it was a case of, there was brands like Eat Natural and Naked, the ones that's still here today. Mm-hmm. But for us, Rimi was like, I feel like I can make a more natural tasting bar that still tastes great, and more premium. Because, that's we've kept through going, I'm vegan as well. So that was the main core things of the product. So it was a case of, we started with that. And then as the journey's gone on, which we could discuss, we've had to pivot and change the way in our focus, and we've learned a lot. And where we are today is we are the vegan chocolate brand, and we focus on mainly chocolate products.
Why vegan, and how important was that vegan aspect to you at the time?
I think it was a personal choice. We were vegans or we ate plant-based, but now it's more of a case of we want everyone to enjoy it. And I think that's the reason people are dairy intolerant or lactose-free and things like that. And that's sort of the plan. We want everyone to be able to enjoy our chocolates.
Okay. Where did the entrepreneur spirit come from? Was that something from your family, Rimi's family, or was it just a case of you, as you said, quite happy with the products that are out on the market?
A bit of both. My grandfather, so on my side, we've both got entrepreneurs on both sides of the family.
Nice.
On my side, my granddad came from India in the 1950s, got here, got a job, used to work in the mines at that time, hated it, and said, I'm going to do my own thing. Started doing his own business, like selling things door to door, and started that time. And he started it. And then when my dad's dad died, when my dad, I think, was about 15, and my dad had to take over the business. So my dad had to leave school and just sort of get stuck in. So my dad's, so all I've grown up with on that side is family run businesses, and my dad being his own boss. And same with Rimi. Rimi's mum used to make clothes for B&M and had her own factory. Right. Her grandfather also did that. Her dad also had a shop. So everyone sort of been around us has sort of ran their own businesses or just done their own thing, really.
Okay. So it's quite an inspirational sort of family background on both parts there.
Definitely.
I've mentioned Dragon's Den,
Yeah.
so I'd like you to talk about it, and obviously it's really interesting. It's got a lot of media profile. Talk to me about that experience. Talk to me about why you went on it. How old was the business when you went on it? Just that the whole experience, and obviously, quite importantly, did anyone offer to invest?
So we went on to Dragon's Den 4 years after we started the business. They'd approached us a couple of years before because they're in Manchester. They were like, you know what, do you want to come on? I said, you know what, the time's not right. Then there was when the time was right, we said, you know what, we actually need to raise money for the next stage, funding the business, because we'd bootstrapped up until then. So it was going to sort of be a round that was going to be funded by angels. We said, you know what, let's just go on, see what happens. We've heard some great things about some of the dragons have done, they help businesses. So I was a coward. I didn't go on. I said, Rimi, you'd be better at it than me.
So you didn't go on? Because
I was a coward.
Yeah.
But I said, Rimi, do you know what? You'll be really good at pitching the business, and I think you should do it. And, we decided to go on. We thought, you know what? Worst comes to worst, we'll get brand exposure. People will see the brand, 4 million people. If we get an offer, even better, and if it works out okay, then that, it's the perfect.
So you would have. So you went on it. You would have taken investment.
We would have taken it if it was a good amount. Okay. I think when Rimi went on, she did all of the pilots and stuff like that, and you go on, and then they do the testing, and they're like, okay, we're going to put you through. And from what she told me, she said it was a very they try and create a lot of stress. Like, they put you in a room with other founders. They don't tell you when you're going to go on. They say you're going to be there for the whole day. They'll call you anytime. And it builds up that not anxiety, but builds up the adrenaline and everything like that. And I think when she went on, she pitched. We were very open. We watched a lot of the episodes. We knew, don't try and hide anything. Just be transparent. They ask about figures and things like that. So just tell them the truth, because and they'll probably pick it apart because that's part of the show. But got on there, and we got an offer from Deborah Meaden. Right. It was for 30% of the business for the amount of money we needed, and we went in with 5. Rimi tried to negotiate and said, look, could you do it for 10? Deborah said no, and then that was it. We turned them down. We said, she said no, it's 30, and we're like, no, you know what, we're not going to accept the offer. Okay. And that was it. And she came out, and it was it's an experience. I could see it really sort of changed her as well.
Was the fact that, and I haven't asked this before, and I've alluded to the fact I've known you for a little while now, but was the fact that you did get an offer, did that almost validate that you were on the right journey and you were doing the right things?
Yeah. With Deborah, she invested in a lot of food brands. Okay. Brands that we had seen, and she got the product straight away, and it was like, okay, that's good. You know what? She invested, and because she offered, then that episode got aired. Because they don't air all the episodes. Okay. If you see people get 20-second clips or 10 seconds, right, we got a good 10-minute piece, which was great for the brand.
How was the conversation that night when you got home?
She said, I'm broken. I'm lack of sleep, because she was still feeding the little one. Right. She goes, I need to go away. So she went on a silent retreat for a week after that. Oh, wow. I'm not joking. Okay. So I didn't see her then a week later, but she was very nervous about how it was going to air. And when it did air, she was fine. I think it was all she just don't know how they're going to show it, I think. Yeah, no, totally. But it was the best thing we ever did for the brand, I think. Because people still talk about it now. You're talking about it now. Yeah. When we do PR, they always ask Rimi or podcast, tell me about Dragon's Den. What was it like? You got an offer. So it's been great. It's been a great talking point.
What happened to the brand? I won't say overnight, but so assume the episode goes live whenever it went live. Yeah. What year was it?
It was 2017.
Right, so 2017, it goes live. What happens then the sort of next day?
So they called you up, and they only tell you a week before you're going on the next week's episodes. We're not going to tell you how long it's for, but we just wanted to give you a heads up so you can get your press release and all of that. So we didn't know anything. We didn't know what it was going to be. We got our website ready because we heard that your website can crash. So website was all good, right. And then we made special Dragon Den boxes, and I spoke to another guy who'd been on previously. He said, "Look, Manav, we didn't sell that many boxes. We spent loads of money on the website. Just be prepared that you're not going to sell much." So we're like, you know what? Let's make just 20 Dragon Den boxes. They're the same boxes that Rimi went on with, basically. What you've got seen, a selection box. When it just went crazy. When we went on, I think for our business at that time, it was like we ended up selling about 2,000 of those Dragon Den boxes.
Nice, well done.
30. Thank you. And we had a 30% uplift in Waitrose. We saw in those few weeks, after the airing. So it was a good all round. Then we got in the Sun, Daily Mail. Got in Forbes, So we got some
And
some
it
good
just
pieces.
builds and builds.
It builds and builds. And then when they re-air it, you get another hit to the site, or if they air it in a different country, you get another hit to the site and another round of you get another round of PR as well. We had 2 rounds of PR.
Okay, so you've actually got quite a lot to be thankful for.
Yeah, definitely. It was good. It was a good thing for the business.
Excellent, good man. And still feel like you're a coward.
Yeah.
Would
I wouldn't go on again. No.
You wouldn't do it again?
No, I couldn't do it. She's good. She was really good. She did the brand justice, and it was good.
Good man, good man. Talk to me around the creative part in the business. You've got multiple products, and taking the opportunity to talk around those products now. But how do you get to a place where you say, wouldn't it be great if we created a product that tasted like X? And how does it then get to being packaged and on the shelf?
Yeah, correct. I think to give you a bit, so like I was saying, we did loads of different products before, and we were in loads of different categories, which is something that we can discuss. And it was a case of that Rimi decided, you know what, because Rimi does all of the new products. She said, do you know what? I'm telling you, this vegan chocolate thing is going to be big. Right. This really had no data. She was like, I'll tell you, I've got a feeling. I was like, do you know what, Rim? This is the last bit of money that we've got from the investment. We need to make sure that, it's going to work. She's like, you know what? I'm telling you, nobody's making great tasting chocolate, that happens to be vegan, as in it tastes just as good as a dairy one. And I was like, are you sure? She's like, yeah, I'm telling you. So we went all in. We focused on the vegan chocolate thing, and that was a big inflection point in the business. We found a factory. Rimi worked with the factory. It was a collaborative effort because they've never made vegan chocolate butter.
Where was the factory?
It's based in the UK.
Okay.
So we said, you know what, we've got to, we worked with them, we shared IP, shared knowledge, and we made the product, and it went out, and it just did phenomenal. And we got listed in Whole Foods, and then Holland and Barrett came along, then Boots came along, then Waitrose came along, and that was when we needed to raise money again. That was where, because it was just funding the orders basically. Right. Cash flow was tight. We had a very small team still, because we were putting all of the money in stock and not growing the other side, which we needed to do both basically.
So you've got food design, product. What about then the wrapping, the packaging, etc.?
We worked with Rimi deals with the creative side, and at that time we didn't have any graphic designers in house. We just used an external graphic designer that we found on like freelancing platforms and things like that.
Oh, okay.
So Rimi used those.
So still showing that sort of entrepreneurial flair.
But that was 4 years ago. But now we've got 2 in-house graphic designers.
So, Manav, obviously you've got your own website,
yeah,
and then you're in some of the great brands that the retailers that we've mentioned. Talk to us around how COVID would have impacted you, because the stores would have closed, and this is that time when you're building the brand.
Yes. How
did the website cope, and how have you managed to keep it going?
So when we met, I don't know if you remember, but we met it was probably a year before COVID or 2 years before COVID. You were like, don't neglect D2C. You said, you're a brand, it's great to be in all these stores, but think about D2C. So since we had that conversation, we sort of started focusing on a bit more on the website, making sure it looked right, putting a bit of time and effort and making sure the package, subscription package, everything. So when COVID hit, we were sort of ready. We were packing all the orders in house at that time. And when COVID hit, I think online became about 30-40% of our sales in total, from being 5%. Yeah. It was very low still and then it just went up. And I would say now, post-COVID, it's gone down to 20%. Okay. But the business is a lot bigger, so the 20% is now a lot bigger than it was, than the 30% in COVID. So it's been good for us. It's great for people that want to buy regularly and see the brand and see that you're established and see the different products you do. So we're using it for both. We get a lot of trade inquiries as well from the website.
Interesting.
So we make sure that's a big thing, capturing that data.
So, Manav, what is the addressable market in terms of confectionery brands, vegan brands for LoveRaw, and how far have you penetrated that market? So
we're playing in the confectionery space. We're not playing in the free farm or the healthy snacking space. In terms of that, we're focusing on the confectionery section. Plant-based chocolate is supposed to be about 1.1 billion in 2023. So it's growing. It's going to be a big category. Yeah. But for us as a business, we're focused definitely on the vegans and the vegetarians, but more on the flexitarians, because obviously it's a growing segment, and the people that are flexitarians are obviously reducing their meat consumption or having meat-free days or choosing dairy alternatives, and we're focused on those people. That's where the main growth is going to come from. We're always going to make sure we appeal to the vegans and veggies, but the flexitarian market's where this growth is going to come from. for us as a brand.
So when you first came up with the brand and the
Yeah.
concept, you said that Rimi was absolutely focused. She
Yeah.
knew
Yeah.
that there was a desire and a requirement for a business like yourselves, a product like LoveRaw. Even though you had that confidence,
Yeah.
has it been harder than you thought to crack the market, to get the business out there?
I think in the chocolate market, definitely, because of the big players.
Okay.
So, when you go into a supermarket and you go to the confectionery aisle, it's Cadbury own that whole bay in Tesco, and they pay for that bay. So how are you going to get in there? Because that's all Cadbury's.
And I know what dairy milk is, so I'm going to buy it again.
You're going to buy it again. So Tesco will say, well, or Sainsbury's or whoever will say, well, in that bay, and Cadbury pay for that whole bay, so you can't go in there. The next bay along, and Nestle's paid for that bay. The next place along bay is Ferrero. So, but where am I going to put your products? So it's a case of us taking, finding our place in the supermarkets or on the shelves and getting our journey to which the main goal is to be in the main confectionery aisle. So that's probably the biggest challenge.
Right. Okay. So I'm thinking around then when you said earlier that you focus on those sort of flexitarians, and I count myself in that category. You don't want to be in the free from potentially less quality products. You want to still sit within that confectionery aisle, but be recognised as a
Correct.
farm or a vegan or a plant-based.
Yeah, so we bridge the gap between sort of healthy snacking and confectionery, and it's a case of how does that gap fit into each customer's store? And we've got a great team, lots of insights, and we've been able, and that's why we've got a lot of listings. We're listing because we've learned over time how to pitch our product in. But for us, as me and Rimi, and our sort of long-term strategy is we want to be sitting next to those brands, Mars, Snickers, dairy milk. We want to be next to those,
Are they quite simplistically, are they the barriers to entry, just the spending power of the
Yeah, definitely. So we have to be more creative with the brand, and that's why if in the business we've got a big marketing team, because we're very much focused on building the brand, and make people getting eyes on the brand, then go and taste the product, and just that's the cycle basically.
So we've mentioned some of those retailers, and there'll be obviously we're all aware of those names. How hard is it to get in there in the shelf space and get yourself into the eye line of those retailers?
It can be tricky. It's a lot of hustling, a lot of emails, a lot of pitching your product in the right way, having a great product as well, having a brand that they've seen as well, whether it's on LinkedIn, Instagram, or seeing it in stores. So it's a case of, it's a bit of a circle. If you've got to get into the store so other buyers can see you, but you need the buyers to take you on and put you in the stores. So it's a case of that. But if you can package the product right, got a good presentation, good products, know the category, know your data, and you pitch in a good pitch, they will listen to you. And you just get the one, then prove concept there, then say, well, we know what, we've done really well in here. Okay, well, this is the data. Look how well we've done. Oh, we can make you X margin, X profit. Oh, and you know what? I'll give you a try. You do proof of concept. Oh, you've done really well with that SKU. Can we add another 2 more flavours? And that's what's happened with the retailers.
What brands do you aspire to?
Oh, good question. In confectionery, not many, because the Cadbury's they're not the brands that we sort of consume, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So I would say people like Apple. We've got all the Macs here because I like Apple. Yeah. But those types of innovative type brands that are doing great products, great brand. So for me it's Apple. For Rimi it'll probably be a fashion company, fashion label. I don't know which one.
So interesting question. Well, I think it's an interesting question anyway. Recently, you made a public confession. I saw it on LinkedIn. You also did drop me a text as well to sort of prompt my attention to it. But you were public on the basis that you told everyone that either you didn't think a product was working or it wasn't right.
Yeah.
What made you be so public about that?
Okay.
And why what sort of triggered the point where you go, something isn't working here, and what was it? So what wasn't working, and then which will hopefully answer that. When we launched the Buttercups, we were learning about the chocolate industry, and we hadn't been in chocolate before, so we were Buttercups it's almost like a Reese's Pieces cake.
Yeah, like that. And then we like, do you know what? Okay, we launched that product, learned a lot about chocolate. Then when we launched the next product, which was the wafers, we learned a lot again with the wafers, and we learned how to develop the taste of a milk a milky type taste without using milk, dairy. So we learned a lot, and we said, you know what, the wafers, we're really happy with the taste. We love it. You can't tell the difference. But with the buttercups, we felt it was still not creamy enough, not milky enough. And so we said, you know what, we need to go back to the drawing board, because if people taste the buttercups and they say, you know what, these are too dark, these don't taste like milk chocolate, then they won't go and try the wafers. And then we've lost them in that whole brand journey. So it was a case of the buttercups needed to stand up to the wafers if somebody tried them first, and vice versa. People were trying the wafers, then saying, oh God, I bet their other chocolate is as creamy and that. And they'd go to the buttercups and like, no, they're not. So we would then lose customers. You know what, I'll just stick to the wafers, they used to say. We got all the feedback. Got feedback from reviews, got feedback from Instagram, social media, ourselves as well, we knew, I think. And we just went on a journey of like, okay, how do we get that taste up to the same taste as the wafers?
What was the feedback when you put your hands up and said, we've got this wrong, guys?
A lot of people, it did actually. For me, it did well. I have 20,000 views, and I don't normally get 20,000 views on a post.
Okay.
So for me, it was good in terms of people, and people were saying, no, really appreciate it. And, we've had this problem. And I think everybody isn't happy with some products that they do, and everyone's trying to improve them. But we had, because it was me and Rimi, we had to wait for the team to get a bit bigger so that we could start, right, you know what, we need to sort this problem out now, because it's just growing and growing and growing. It's just trying to keep up and keep that side going and that side going.
So that's the public mistake. I'm going to be a little bit mischievous. Talk around one that people don't know about, but we're going to probably find out now. But talk about a mistake you've made. And it could just be something simple. You go, do you know what, we'd have loved it if we'd done something differently. Just give us an example as sort of an entrepreneur growing a business, when you look back and you think, sort of talk to yourself a little bit.
Oof. When I think about a lot of the stuff, if we could change that question, I'm saying, to challenges, we've had some really big, challenges that we've had in the business there, which has sort of tested the resolve. I remember when we were going to launch in a big supermarket for the first time, and we used to do drinks at that time, and we weren't big enough. We didn't have a good, and it was the first order, and the factory said, you know what, you have to pay up front for these 6 pallets. And our cash flow was so tight because we were trying to run the business very lean. We've got this 6 pallet order, and we were like, you know what, we can't afford to pay the 6 pallet. Banks weren't giving us money. We were too small. Whatever they were looking for wasn't right. And it was a case of, what are we going to do? And we ended up having to, go and think outside the box and find some sort of credit line to get through that and get to the next stage. That was a really big challenge, because that they were key to us growing. And if we didn't get that, what would have happened to the business? I think the second one, that thing that we had was, we had an order from a very, very big retailer, and we were doing really well with the product, with the chocolate products, and they said, you know what, it's going really well. We're going to order 250. We gave us a 250 grand order. That would have been, I can't remember, half of our revenue, 1 year's revenue in one order. We were like, okay, so we started scaling up, spoke to all the suppliers, got everything ready. Just was like, okay, you know what, we're gonna give it to you, but just give us a bit of time. You want it in a week, we're gonna get it to you, and we're gonna drip feed it in over the next 3 weeks. Because from going from £10,000-15,000 order to 250, they expect you to scale. So we said, we'll do it, give us some time. Anyway, started getting it ready, started producing everything. The buyer called up and basically said, you know what, we decided we're going to cancel the order. And I was like, well, you can't do that. And they were like, no, we can, because in the terms and conditions, we can cancel an order up until delivery. So that, again, nearly, and the business was growing then, like really growing. We're like, we've promised everything to the suppliers. And it was again another test of resolve, and how do we get through it? And it was again thinking on our feet, thinking outside the box. That is a mistake in a way, that we were a bit naive. Now we know what to do with that type of customer and how to play it. You're more robust. Well, you're going to pay 50% up front, etc. So you learn from that, and it was like we managed to get through it with a bit of help, a bit of contacts in that retailer. They managed to take part of the order. Our suppliers were very helpful in giving us longer payment terms, and we got through it. That was probably the second mistake. Okay, the third thing was, when we launched the business, we were in lots of different categories, and that was a mistake. We were in bars, we were in drinks, we were in superfood powders, and we were too many categories, and nobody knew what LoveRaw, the brand, stood for. We were trying to be one thing, and it was too spread out. We hadn't gone deep into one category, which is the thing that we've learned now, is to focus. In you know, in everything in parts of the business, but definitely with the category. That's why with the vegan chocolate brand, you know, we're not going to go out and start doing drinks. You know, maybe it's something in the 5-10 years when the brand's really established again. But at the moment, you know, with the vegan chocolate brand, we're sticking to our core, sticking those products and not get too distracted, because there's so many great products and gaps to fill. We could do it, you know, but so that would probably be the lesson I think that we learned, the third one.
So in terms then of learning along the journey, and you mentioned that you got contacts at particular businesses, who sort of helped you along the journey from a corporate level, and how have you built a board around LoveRaw?
Okay, no, that's great. We've got, I would say there's two key people from an advisor point of view. We've got Cully, who's our sort of FD, and he's been sort of with the business since 2017, been through 2 raises, and he's really helped commercialize the product, do all the financial modeling, the forecasting, all the stuff the investor needs, you know. And because he's exited businesses, done IPOs, he's been in loads of different industries, tech, you know, retail products. That knowledge and that advice, he knows what's coming up in the next year. He knows how to build a business from the sort of financial side and the team side, from, you know, for the next stage of growth. So he's been really super helpful. And then another person we have on the board is Juliet Barrett, the founder of Grenade. So she's come on board, and, you know, she's an advisor, mentor, you know, and she's helping us really focus on building the brand and, you know, helping us again get to the next stage. She's done the journey. Both of them have been there and done that and seen this is what happens at this stage, this is what happens at that. And hopefully the plan is they help us get there faster, because they've made the mistakes.
Who instigated, so thinking about Juliet, and you've been kind enough to introduce me to Juliet in the past, who instigated that conversation? Was that a flattering one that came into you, or did you identify Grenade and what Juliet had done there? So
weirdly, okay, so when we were raising money second time, we were putting the deck together, and I remember Cully saying to me, before it was going out, he goes, look, let's use a case study of Grenade, because they're really similar to you. Husband, wife, started from kitchen, story's really good, and like at least it will show that, you know, there's people that have done it. So we did the whole 1 page in there about, you know, a sort of similar business, and we put Juliet and Grenade in there. And then a week later, I went to see Rimi's family. They live in the Midlands, and my daughter was a bit bored. She was like, I said, do you know what? Do you want to go to a factory where we make some packaging? So I went there, and I was talking to the factory owner, and he was talking to me. He's like, well, how's it going? I said, oh, we're raising money at the moment. The business is growing. He goes, oh, I can see from your orders. And I go, yeah, we're looking. And he goes, like, look, I know somebody that they're not an investor, but they advise businesses. I was like, okay. And he was like, if she's in, I've just messaged them. If they're interested, they'll call you in a couple of hours. I was like, okay. I had no idea it was. And then 2 hours later, then Juliet called me, and I was like, oh my God, it's Juliet. You know, and in the FMCG food space, Grenade is a celebrity and very famous. Yeah. You know, I was like, oh, and we know what, we got on well. And she said, you know what, I'm going to come down. I'll come meet you in Altrincham. So she came down, and she said, look, you know, I like, you know, what you're doing. And we went through the story, and she goes, in the end of the conversation, she goes, you know what, I'd love to join you guys. And then she just joined as an advisor, and that was it. It was just that random meeting, you know, and then she said, oh, by the way, I'm moving around the corner from the office just by chance. Right. So the stars aligned, let's say.
Nice. Oh, nice. And I've, you know, like I said, you've been kind enough to introduce me to Juliet, and she's obviously well stacked in terms of experience, and seems like a real good egg as well.
Yeah, definitely.
You and Rimi, so you're co-founders of the business, also husband and wife. Yes. Where do you draw the line between home, office, bringing products back, work-life balance?
Well, we've tried. I think me and Rimi were getting it at the beginning of the business. We were crossing over into each other's roles. So now we have sort of defined roles. Rimi looks after the new products, the creative and the brand side. I focus more on the commercial, the operational side. So we've got a good balance now. And so we don't really tread on each other's toes. There's more support and, you know, soundboarding. So that's better, less arguments. And then the arguments don't come home. But the work-life balance, we've tried many different things. It doesn't work. It's part of our life. You know, when we pitched for the business with Blue Horizon, we had to take my 4-month-old with us to the meeting. So the VC was there, founder of the VC. There's a couple of other people. And we said, look, you know, Rimi's feeding, we have to take him. We've been to factory visits where we've had to change a nappy on the boardroom table. Everyone's okay with it because they've all got kids or had kids. And, you know, we had a VC meeting in London. A babysitter cancelled and my parents were away. Babysitter cancelled. And we had to we called them up and said, look, we're going to be a few hours late, but we're bringing 2 of our kids. We had 2 then. they're like, all right. So he came, and then the 6-month-old was there, and the 4-year-old was there, and the 4-year-old sat with the founder at the VC, and we had to pitch to them with my daughter there, they're part of our life, so they know, and they come to the office, and when we go home, we talk about the kids and we talk about the business, and we try not to talk too much, not about the stresses, but just what we're doing tomorrow and what's happening. But you can't get a balance. It's so hard. Some people do, but then maybe that's where their business doesn't. We've got big ambitions, and we've got it's a big challenge. So it's going to be it's following us around everywhere we go.
It's next generation entrepreneurs.
It's next generation, yeah, hopefully.
Right. Well, we're coming towards the end now. I think it's only fair and right. A shameless plug. How would a first-time customer find you, Manav? And do you have any discounts on the website?
Yeah, we do. I'll have to get you on because we've got. So basically, the best place to find us on eatloveraw.com. If there's a sign-up pop-up that comes up when you first visit the site, I think you get 25% off. So off your first purchase. So go do that, and you can try the products. We've got samples. You don't have to buy a full case. You can buy 3, 6, 9. So it gives everyone a good taste. And then we're available in those places that you said: Holland and Barrett, Boots, Asda, Waitrose, Booths, and a lot of independent shops as well.
Perfect. Right. Final question, and how we like to round the podcast up. Your final dinner, whether that's death row because you've been a naughty boy, or just your final dinner. Aside from family, who would be around the table? 3 people, dead or alive, and a quick reason why.
Okay. I think, so number one for me, because I like Apple, would be Steve Jobs. And I think the reason is their product innovation.
He's vegan as well.
He was vegan as well. Okay. Just the product innovation. He, made great products. The inside and the outside were good. And that's what we were trying to do with our products, and trying to be ahead of the game and do the hard product things that people aren't doing. A second one would say Elon Musk, because Elon Musk runs £3 billion companies. And, and he's very much involved. He's got like 7 kids. I don't know how many kids he's got. He's got like 7 kids, and he does it all. And they're all growing, and they're doing very well. So I'd like to learn from him how he manages all of that. And then the third person would probably be, I would say, Phil Knight, founder of Nike. Because I read his autobiography, and it's amazing. It took a long time to build it, and he went through ups and downs, and you really hear that in the story. Lots of ups and downs and problems, and I think not the journey similar, but I really resonated with him, and he seems very and just it'd be good to chat with him.
So all US, bit of consumer, bit of tech, all high growth.
All high growth, big companies.
There we go. Manav, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Cheers.
Thank you for joining us on the Found and Cheap podcast.
No, thanks, been great.
Thank you for listening. If you're an entrepreneur or CEO and have a story you would like to feature, or would like to suggest a founder you'd like to hear from, drop us a line at live@zeuscapital.co.uk. That's live, LIVE, at zeuscapital.co.uk. Or follow us on social media at Founder and Chief. Don't forget to subscribe on your favourite podcast app. This content is issued by Zeus Capital Limited, which is authorised and regulated in the United Kingdom by the Financial Conduct Authority for designated investment business, and is a member firm of the London Stock Exchange. Nothing in this podcast should be viewed as investment advice. Listeners should consult an investment professional before making any decisions regarding topics mentioned in this podcast. The views expressed in this podcast are those of the participants and not of Zeus. Please note that participants in this podcast may have financial interests in the matters discussed.